обычно очень много люблю говорить, поэтому захватываю очень много экранного времени. Да, действительно, это очень все круто, и как бы даже сейчас одновременно проходит очень много дисциплин, которые можно все посмотреть, оценить, и даже вот скейтбординг до программирования крутили, мы смотрели, чуть-чуть, конечно.
Но мы еще успеем все это дело посмотреть. Перед этим хочется напомнить то, что у нас есть такая замечательная компания, как «Газпром». Это глобальная энергетическая компания, которая обеспечивает чистой и доступной энергией текущее и будущее поколения россиян. Ну и, кстати, они еще и заряжают нас энергией спорта, строят современные спортивные технологические комплексы, в том числе поддерживают любительский профессиональный спорт и, конечно же, игры.
Алло, sebentar.
Как неудивительно.
Да.
И рады тому, что мы здесь. И коль мы начали про другие дисциплины, вот параллельно прямо сейчас идет несколько
Алло!
дисциплин, экспо, на котором мы находимся. И мы наблюдали не только...
Эдди, сиди-ка, я ченнелnya ya.
Которые сразу освещают несколько событий. Скейтбординг прямо сейчас проходит, тоже такая занимательная. Футбол, который мы постоянно слышим, да.
Да, иногда себя не слышно, когда рядом футбол.
Ну,
ты рад
конечно,
быть рядом
это
с
футбол.
футболом?
Я рад быть.
Около.
Я бы немного и там бы хотел быть, даже если бы возможно было.
Честно говоря, хотелось бы посетить все, и у нас, вот, к сожалению, такой возможности нет, в отличие от вас, уважаемые зрители. Вы можете посетить Казань, вы можете приехать сюда, в Экспо, и насладиться всем этим делом, потому что, но даже если не заходить на какие...
Yang ini sih harusnya ya. Yang ini ya benar. Guys.
$10.000 dari someone, pesan, Ken tanggapan lu harga BTC sekarang bakalan pump LG ke new ATH apa justru bearish?
Gak tahu, brother. Susah ngomong kalau BTC gua, tapi berharapnya sih masih new ATH sih. Guys, gua sambil makan ya. Gua sambil makan ya, nih nyokap gua bawain makan soalnya. Apa ini? Oh, ini pempek ternyata ya. Oke, ada pempek. Ini apa ya? Kuah bakso. Terima kasih ya Tuhan, kita akan makan enak. Ini apa? Puji Tuhan. Ada nasi merah, ada nasi merah dan juga ikan-ikanan dan sayur-sayuran ya guys ya. Dan ini ada kuah bakso yang sangat luar biasa. Semoga jangan tumpah. Biasa kalau gua makan di studio yang kuah-kuah selalu ada aja tumpahnya. Semoga tidak ada tumpah-tumpahan. Oke guys, gue isi tenaga dulu ya sebelum mulai RRQ-nya ya guys ya. Terima kasih Tuhan Yesus makan yang kau berikan pada malam hari ini dan sore hari ini. Terima kasih segala berkat yang kau berikan dalam Tuhan Yesus, doa yang jawab syukur. Oke, makan dulu guys. Suapan pertama untuk gua. Bentar ya, gue kelarin makan dulu ya biar Biar ada energinya, oke guys? Apa ini? Melingkar, oh udang. Emak gue nih, gue selalu bilang gue nggak bisa makan udang, dikasih udang terus guys. Agak alergi gue guys kalau udang. Ah, ribet banget. Bek tulang. Sabar, makan dulu. Ah.
Rp10.000 dari Evos Galang, pesan, Lu dukung Burmese Ghouls atau RR Ken?
Ya RRQ lah goblok. Ini tuh caster Inggrisnya ya. Last bakso, ini tuh bakso ikan guys. Habis ya.
10.000 dari someone. Pesan, Ken gua anak sekolah belum kerja kena tipu 18 jet ludes langsung kepikiran sempe SKRTG ikhlas.
Jadikan pelajaran. Pelajaran tuh mahal, brother. Mungkin Tuhan membuat lo itu ketipu 1,8 juta supaya suatu saat lo tuh tidak tertipu 180 juta sampai 1,8 miliar dalam hidup lo. Oke? Lo harus ingat pelajaran tuh mahal. Makanya harus lebih berhati-hati dan jadikan semuanya pelajaran. Mantep banget. Terima kasih, Mak, atas makanan yang sangat luar biasa ini ya.
You for a long time, you know, and some of this, the changes that we have, you know, you kind of weigh it like, is this what they need right now? And I feel like tournaments like this is a great time to test some of those things out and get the year started.
Yeah, it's perfect, right? It's right before these major tournaments all around the world, like for MPLs, Indonesia and the Philippines. I think this is kind of like either a test to their chemistry, what they can put out. Are they well adjusted to the meta? I have to highlight a little bit about RRQ2. Like, since we're gonna be looking at their roster, they got Irad playing for them and Brusco. And just a little trivia about Brusco, because I've been following him since the amateur scene. It's so nice to see. And you know, there was a time that he actually said that it's gonna be really hard. Like, he's not sure if he's gonna make it. There are moments like that. So it's nice to see him, you know, come into MPL, then eventually get picked up by an organization like RRQ, right? That is big. Irad and Brusco, they definitely have a lot to prove here, and I think it's really a big thing for them to carry RRQ's name.
And that's what, like, I'm glad you pointed them out, Ben. And you know, most people might be like, man, a lot of people talk so much about like,
guys, kalian tuh
these
sering banget
imports or these changes and whatnot. It's true. I mean, there's a reason why it is, because you have
Games
to consider that dynamic change.
Future Indocaster, emang ada ya?
So far, I would say from the meta for Games of the Future, a lot of people have been weighing like, all right, is is the best choice. These utility junglers is the best choice. Maybe
Gak ada,
opting for
Cok.
some of these assassin type junglers.
Gak ada,
And,
anjing, Games
with
of
junglers
Future.
like Irad, with junglers on
Caster
the table,
Indonesia,
even
guys.
Sasa, right? You have that utility factor in itself, like flexibility, right? So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the live stage, by the way. So
Wow.
we got
Udah, stage-nya keren banget ya.
you can see there's quite a few members
Ngeri,
watching this. The
anjing.
stage looks amazing.
Ada yang
And that
nonton
is the-
kah di
you can
Rusia,
see the
guys?
trophy. You'll get a closer look at it. Actually, there it is on screen. What I was talking about in the video, because yesterday's video, it got cut a little bit short, so it didn't get the whole history or the story of it. But now it makes sense, and I love to see that this stage it's very impressive.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of pointed that out too. Like I was like, oh, it's a trailer about the trophy. Actually, I didn't notice that because I was busy mentally preparing for like what to say
dari
in the
Jordi.
opening. And
Pesan,
yeah,
Bang
I
Ken
love how we
ucapin
have
selamat
these kind
ultah
of like,
untuk temanku
little
namanya Irfan,
trailer
dia Ngevan
about,
sama
like, the
lu
team.
Bang.
Selamat
Right,
ultah
like,
untuk
our
Irfan,
here.
temannya Jordi.
There you have it.
Selamat
Like,
ulang
Irfan,
tahun,
there's-
semoga
and so
peler kau
far,
makin
yeah, I think
panjang,
what's
kau
really interesting
semakin
about
keren dan
RQ2 is
semakin
they're the
sukses
first
ya
team
Jordi
that
ya,
actually
Tuhan
picked
memberkati.
something very interesting. It got everybody in the MLBB community talking, right? They picked up a Layla for their last pick last time, and it worked. It was a match point. Wow.
We talked about this yesterday, actually.
Oh, wow,
and,
you did too.
Yeah, because we're going to see them walk out the stage, of course, here. And still, performance-wise, these guys that have been making...
Lu habis ngapain kayak keringetan banget? Bukan gua keringetan, gua belum mandi, jadi lepek gitu loh.
And make it work. I think that's a very
Rambut gua gampang
special
lepek
thing.
soalnya.
Not to mention, I think those are the new jackets, by the way. They got like some...
Cewek-cewek Rusia.
Not sure if we'll be able to get to see those in person, but the point with the whole Layla pick, that's what I love, and I was telling this to
10.000
G yesterday. in the
dari
discussion,
Samuan.
like some of these
Pesan, Ken Ramadan
you could
udah
say
deket puasa
non-meta
lagi
picks,
gak?
like
Yoi, hari pertama ya Samuan
new
ya.
picks or whatever you want to call it. Like I feel like we're in a current meta state where it's like you can do some of this. Like you can experiment.
You can
pull something
count
off,
on
and really all it comes down to is if you're confident enough to pull off that strategy. And something as simple as like, oh yeah, Layla might be really a simple hero in comparison to some of the other goal laners that we're used to seeing, but they made it work. And exactly that. So also going to be taking a look here, Burmese Ghouls making their way to the stage once again here after this great
And
video
I
put
don't
together.
even need it
And Kim, I
cause
gotta say,
I'm numb on you
personality-wise,
like
matchup style-wise, for both these teams,
you'll be there.
do you think the Burmese Ghouls kind of have to like tame that aggression a little bit here in this matchup against
Bentar guys,
RQ?
gua mau telepon.
I think Burmese Ghouls did a pretty good
Project
job
manager
back
gua
in
nih.
the group stages where they were also pretty aggressive from the
Dan.
early game. So I think it boils down to the draft too. Like
Halo?
if you're gonna give like Saksa here
Dan,
or
tadi
Irad,
tuh gua
those
baru
types of
ketemu
heroes, like, I
orang
think,
PLN.
if you want to be aggressive from the start, like glass
Jadi,
cannon heroes like
tadi dia udah lagi
Joy,
ukur-ukur, jadi
Nolan,
ntar
these
baru
are the
mau
things that
pasang
you have to consider.
10.000
Even the
3
Martis too, that
fase.
is super good in the early game. And Burmese
Jadi
Ghouls
kayaknya
have
harus
that
bawa
type of
genset ya berarti ya?
composition actually in the group stage. So hopefully, let's see if they can balance it out with RRQ that kind of aggression that they want to show out here. But so far, like I think Burmese Ghouls did a very good job of holding out
Ya,
up until
kalau ada biaya taman,
the
kasih aja yang
stage,
penting
right? Like
bisa lebih
we're down
murah
to
lah
8
daripada
teams.
yang
It's not
itu.
an easy feat to actually reach this point of the tournament.
Yeah, again, based off what we saw
Jadi
yesterday,
startnya kapan, Den?
taking us back to yesterday, since we know that RQ Hoshi's been waiting, right, because of the way that they place in their groups, but specifically for Burmese
Oh,
Ghouls,
jadi
like I
Senin
said,
tetap
their
baru mulai ya?
performance against Twisted Minds was
Terus baru
very
sumur
impressive.
berapa lama?
Like they
Seminggu?
came out very strong and came out swinging
Oh, sehari dua hari udah
impressively. It's
kelar.
just they had some.
Kalau
I would say,
misalnya
like,
bor sumur
minor
sehari
mistakes
dua
on
kelar,
some
terus
things,
barang
especially when it came
buat
to setting
apa
up
namanya?
with what the
Buat
draft
fondasi
did.
belum ada, berarti
And I feel
nganggur
like
lagi
that's
dong.
going to have to be in check here, for this game against RQ if they really want to move forward, right? Because we
Iya,
do
kalau
know that
kan fondasi kan
there's not
masih
that many
dihitung
days
dulu
left
kan
in
nih
single
kita masih
elimination.
mau ambil dari Bandung atau
And
dari
there's
Jakarta
only so
kan.
much you can do at a best of 3.
Berarti bor sumur
I'm
bakal kelar
asking you
duluan,
this,
habis itu
Kim,
belum ada
because,
bahan buat
I
fondasi
like
dong.
to ask G's idea about this,
Opinion
and like
too?
in the best of 3,
Okay.
yeah. So is this like the time that do you think game one really is the time to just throw out like this experiment, or do you go back and stay with your fundamentals or your basics here? Because these are two
Iya,
teams that
ini
really,
pagar nanti.
there's a
Udah gua
lot of
tanya dulu nih ke
variability
Pak Robi,
that can
berarti
pop
hari
up
Senin
even in
harusnya
game
udah
one.
jalan buat bikin pagar
Yeah, I
juga
think
ya.
at this point, right, everybody pretty much has an idea of what everybody's comfortable with in the current
Nggak
meta.
tahu nih, masih
We've seen
bingung.
the stats already so far, and it seems like it is centered around these chain
gua pasin lagi deh,
CC
yang
type of
material.
compositions.
Yeah.
You see like a Ruby, Minotaur, or
Kan
sometimes
yang
you
penting
get
kan ini dulu
Ruby,
kan fondasi sama bajanya
Tigreal
dulu kan.
combination. So I think it's all about like all-out brawl. Sometimes I would see like in all of the games, and I mean clashes after clashes, and it's all because of these CC type of heroes. So I think for Burmese Ghouls, right, if they want to keep up, maybe possibly like get a really good draft against RRQ, we started to see the shift also. Instead of like putting your resources to take down the gold lane, like I see a lot of these teams kind of shifted to the XP lane,
maksudnya
which
berarti
kind of
jasa
like
itu
carries the
tetap
momentum
minta.
of the
Kalau
game,
sampai
right?
kita
Like
beli
I've seen
sendiri,
Dlar
jasa
do
tetap
that.
minta dia yang
He was
pasang ya
so
berarti ya.
good in like disrupting the jungle or the farming of the enemy, which kind of made it so hard for them to take in major objectives, which is turtles and the Lord. So I think that's something that has to be looked upon here for both sides.
I think with building off of that, you know, when you're talking about the objectives, you know, for the most part, I still feel
Bentar
like
guys,
this
ini
is
lagi
these teams
bahas
specifically
buat Cosmic
and
Tangerang ini.
Burmese Ghouls as an organization, like there was a time when they were very action based
Itu apa
and they
buat
wanted
bahannya
to
itu
just
nih?
clash it out and things like that. But of course, like over time,
WF apa sih?
a lot of these
WF.
teams have developed that sense
Oh, buat
of all right,
bahannya,
these objectives, we really have to master the dance. Because I think for a lot of people watching, like especially if let's say they're just kind of casually watching the esports scene, or maybe
10% dari
if you
total
even
bahan.
compare to the diehards out there, they know that there's a certain like choreography to a lot of these like turtle takes
Oh,
and
yeah.
these lore dances. That's why we call it a dance, right? I mean, that's the terminology because it really is that. And I would say that with the additions here to Burmese Ghouls, they
tapi tadi katanya
have done
kata si
a really
Robi
good
sih
job
nggak
at
bisa
kind of
sih buat
developing that
nego
play
ke situ,
style
katanya
around
tadi
that,
dia
but they're
open
still
harganya
very
11.000 anjir.
aggressive. And if you say the same thing about RRQ Hoshi here, they're a team when sometimes when you think they're like down and out, there's like that it factor for some of these players here, right? And
Temen
whether
lu
that's
ada
Clay,
yang
whether
buat
that's
jasa
Skylar,
juga,
whether
buat
that's
jasa
any of
pasang.
these guys on that roster, specifically from
ya udah.
Indonesia,
Kalau
like
gitu
they
nunggu
can
kabar dari lu
pull
aja deh.
that through, and it's kind of scary how that can happen, right? Because sometimes there's always that when games do, like when we're talking about 10,000 gold deficit for any of these teams out
Oh,
there,
yeah,
there's
that's
some of
huge.
those playmakers that can pull a miracle out, right? It doesn't always happen, but it's
10.001
definitely a possibility
dari
here.
Wanda.
And once again,
Pesan
while we wait for
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim,
draft for game
semoga
number one,
RR menang.
that's where we're going to see
Amin.
things kind of fall into place.
Semoga RRQ
right?
menang
Because
ya.
we already saw, again, these top picks, these top bands that have been coming up. We see a lot of, when it comes to Rome, we see a lot of that set potential. That's the reason why Ruby is, I think she's the top right now. I think she's
Number
the
one.
actually most
Yeah.
picked. Yeah, I think she is the most picked
so far.
hero. But even with that being the case, like we saw yesterday, and being picked up first, it doesn't guarantee you a easy sailing in the game. Like we saw even Maro yesterday struggle with the Ruby in the first game that they had because he got shut down really early on.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Ruby here. The statistics is actually pretty good. Like it's picked up, the most number of times 28 in total, but it doesn't really have a very good win rate. Let's say like 40%. So yeah, I mean it is a priority, but it doesn't guarantee you like an overall win. Yeah, but apart from that, I want to talk a little bit about the other picks too that haven't like surfaced, like Joy, Matilda. Actually, Joy was let out once, like for the RQ Daewoo game. It was actually given to Iraq.
Caster induk tadi gua cari gak ada babi guys. Dari mana sih? Aduh anjing lagi hampir jatuh
will these
lagi.
teams like go for super aggressive picks? Like there are times that I will also see like FANNY bans like respecting Irad there, Lancelot bans coming through. So
Games
I'm not so
of
sure if
Future
they're gonna go for
40, emang
utility
ada?
right now, or are they gonna go for assassins because we're talking about
Mana,
like
Cok?
Sasa
Caster
and
Indo
Irad,
40.
two of our like homegrown talents here in the PH, right?
It's funny because with Irad specifically,
Mana sih guys?
at least for me, I'm very vocal about this over in our region, of course. Like I love for the longest time, ever since I was a part.
Gak ada, sumpah, aku sumpah kagak ada guys. Capek lah gua malu pada lah.
10.000 dari Budi. Pesan, Bang Cium Dudong biar semangat.
Ya, bentar-bentar ya.
And I was like, man, you know, Irad has developed into an exceptional player, like over the seasons.
Le Million boy.
Players, because there's a lot of jungler players out
Le
there that,
Million.
like, they don't want to, like, sometimes even I've
Anjing,
heard
ini Le
this from some
Million
of the coaches
apa,
that we've
anjing?
interviewed. Like sometimes, even if they want
10.000
this certain draft,
dari
sometimes
Reza.
they will, of
Pesan,
course, take
Bang
the
Ken besok
consideration of what the
Ramadan
player
bikin
is
konten
saying. And
larisin
Irad's-
penjual
Irad
takjil
and
kagak.
players like this will be like, you know what? I'll take
Kalau
the
kalian
Lancelot,
mau
I'll
sih,
take the Joy,
gua
I'll take
bikin
the
sih.
Nolan, I'll take some of these like
Cari yang jauh-jauh
riskier
tapi kali ya.
heroes because
Le
they have that certain
Million
confidence in themselves
boy.
to be able to pull it off rather than going. And sometimes that's even picking it into a utility type hero, you know, and they can still make it work.
Thanks a
And,
lot,
Beneran
right?
anjing.
thanks a lot, you know, and again, it's
Ya, kalau misalnya kalian suka caster-casternya lembur boleh 21 ya. Tapi kalau kalian
Kok-
baik boleh prediksi
Kok
21.
disetelnya di Le Million?
Soalnya
Ini
kalau kita
salah,
yang
Cok.
biasa gimana ya, agak
Aduh, cuman ada 720p guys.
Pada penonton aja deh, kalian prediksi gimana, kita ikutin aja mau kalian gimana.
Guys, ini cuma 720p loh, gak ada.
Nevin, kalau tadi Nevin ngomong kayak
Gak
begitu
ada
ya, kalau kalian
1080p
suka
loh.
Lembur. Gua yang gak suka kalian kalau kalian suka ya. Tolong teman-teman.
Gak boleh gitu.
Ada lu WhatsApp. Ini 720p gak?
50 katakannya nanti sabar dulu next belum bukan.
Coba lu lihat 1080p ada.
Mulai juga belum, udah ditagih kata-kata.
ASD.
Itu
Berarti
biasanya
di sana
mengalir.
Di sana nih lagi persiapan.
Anjing,
nih,
ini
kalian udah lihat juga.
restream
Mereka
ya dia ya?
di posisinya masing-masing gitu, yang penting kali ada juga kali ya. Karena kayak di MPL season lalu kan ada beberapa momen lucu itu yang salah tim lah,
Iya.
yang salah duduk lah.
Iya lagi salah jalan ya. Oh ya,
Salah jalan.
by the way, Pak Pulung berarti kata-kata hari ininya harus pakai bahasa Rusia katanya.
Nevin emang pengen banget ngeliat Pulung mimisan apa gimana sih hari ini?
Oh iya, ada bangke. Udah ditemukan akhirnya ya guys ya.
Bahasa Rusia Pak Pulung.
Bukan?
Gue bahasa Inggris aja kan. Lu kalau gue bahasa Rusia bisa open berarti.
Mohon maaf, nanti aku nge-cast sendiri nih kalau Pak Pulung upname. Tapi
Nah,
kita masih bisa memberikan apa yang kalian
akhirnya
nantikan.
ketemu
Ini dia.
juga anjing.
Untuk
Aneh
match
banget sih guys. Nah, oke
Langsung
udah mulai ya.
Barats, udah. Joy pasti.
Pasti.
Pokoknya Joy ini nggak bisa ngelihat. Wah, tim lawan first pick nih.
Ya. Ini BO berapa ya? Oh masih BO 3
Ya, nggak bisa
juga
banget
anjing.
dilepas ya, tapi kita nggak tahu, mungkin hari ini akan ada hero-hero yang mau dilepas juga sama RRQ. Bisa jadi mereka mau tuker Joy untuk Guinevere, sebenarnya nggak
Betul.
masalah, tapi ya udah, Joy bakal tutup. Dan juga di sini ada Nathan. Ini
Nathan.
langsung loh di fase yang pertama Pak Pulung, nggak pakai basa-basi. Tambah lagi dengan adanya Novaria.
Mungkin karena dengan hadirnya Nathan yang sekarang ya, bagaimana kita tahu juga ada satu item yang emang di adjust lagi, bisa dibilang itu mungkin sedikit di nerf jadi dari Radiant yang mungkin itu bisa menahan ya sedikit
10.000
ya, bisa menahan
dari Zahra.
Nathan apabila
Pesan,
Nathan udah jadi.
Bang tolong
Tapi
bilangin
item
sama
yang bisa
Sinta
menahan itu
pegawai
kan itu
Kosmik
dikurangin.
Palembang
Wah,
suruh bayar
berjaya
hutangnya
dong.
Bang
Satu
tolong.
hero.
Bener.
Gua tahu lagi Sinta ini
walaupun
beneran apa kagak
mungkin
ini.
di rank, ya udahlah,
Sinta
kita
bayar
lihat
utang ya ke
banyak
Zara
orang
ya.
yang bisa menggunakan hero tersebut, tapi dengan pro player yang kayak begini mereka kan udah khatam harusnya. Nathan ditambah Inspire, stacknya juga nggak banyak, ngumpulinnya juga ya bisa lah. Mereka juga pasti bisa lah untuk bisa mempertimbangkan bagaimana timing untuk tetap mempertahankan
10.000
stacknya.
dari
Entropinya
Nina Ismin.
diaktifin,
Pesan,
damage-nya
Mih nama
ampun-ampunan,
channelnya
Nevin.
Ken Mobile Legends
Betul, dan
Bang
mereka
Bangsi.
untuk nge-ban di fase pertama sih cukup mengisyaratkan ya, mereka bakal ngebawa hero-hero yang
Apa-apa?
mungkin mobilitasnya nggak terlalu tinggi, atau justru mereka pengen bawa fighter-fighter yang tebel nih biar nggak ada penetrasi
Mih nama
sosok
channelnya
Nathan
Ken,
nantinya.
mau belajar BBC.
Dan
Iya dari
untuk
tadi
Guinevere,
harus lu
kali
kasih
ini
tau
bakal
gua.
lepas di tangan dari
Telat nih,
teman-teman
sekarang udah
Arjo.
ketemu,
Udah pasti
Cok.
bakal ada di first pick, dan
Oke, kita lihat di sini first pick dari Ararki adalah Guinevere ya guys ya.
Bisa adu draft nih. Karena untuk Ruby sendiri juga fleksibel, bisa ditaruh di
Ya.
roamer, bisa taruh di XP.
Ruby dan Cloud langsung diamankan oleh Nevin. Terlihat ya tadi juga dari band-bandannya di situ Martis sudah langsung dihilangkan loh. Di band yang ketiga Martis langsung dihilangkan. Kenapa? Karena kita tahu dengan pola yang dimiliki oleh pemain dari Burmese Ghouls yang emang early-nya mereka kenceng banget. Martis adalah salah satu yang cocok kan untuk bisa menjalankan apapun yang mereka inginkan. Kita tahu bagaimana kapabilitas dari Martis itu sendiri. Capek, orang belum apa-apa, dia di awal bisa triple kill, dia bisa maniak dengan satu decimate-nya itu loh.
Bener sih. Dan untuk sekarang ya, pemilihan dari RRQ. Kalau kita ngomongin sosok XP lane, ini Arlot juga masih terbuka papulung. Tapi ternyata mereka prefer untuk ngambil Cici dan juga ada sosok Nana. Kalau ngomongin Nana ya udah pasti escape skills-nya gampang banget ya. Tapi yang dikhawatirkan buat Burmese Ghouls terutama.
Record berapa bitrate Ken? Bitrate gue standar sih 5.000.
Punya sedikit
kita lihat ada Nana dari Okta dan juga Cici dari Banana ya guys ya.
Di ultimate-nya kalau misalnya kena hit 2 kali ngasih sedikit stun juga dan Universe dengan Velocity Coil-nya. Jadi mungkin dari Burmese Ghouls entah mereka harus ngebawa hero yang siap nge-counter setup atau justru yang benar-benar strong atau justru dari segi mobilitasnya tinggi untuk lebih mudah escape. Dan Purify mungkin nanti bisa jadi salah satu prioritas ya dari segi pemilihan spell.
Ya, kita lihat aja ini mereka emang benar-benar mau melawan lagi dengan satu efek sisi yang cukup besar dan Akai. Ini deh mereka juga udah menggunakan hero ini berapa kali gitu loh. Untuk Akai menjadi jungler kemungkinan besar ya. Kemungkinan besar akan menjadi junglernya.
Ini tuh udah hati guys, sudah gak ada buriknya kampret.
Waktunya untuk emang masuk lagi ke banning phase selanjutnya nih.
Let's what?
Guinevere udah, Nana udah, Cici udah. Ini Cici udah sama-sama gede loh, Ruby. Gue pikir tadi malah mungkin ada satu yang mengalah ya, entah itu Burmese Ghouls apa dan kemungkinan besar Burmese Ghouls dengan Digi yang terlepas sejauh ini kan. Entah mereka emang bisa mau menghalau dengan itu semuanya agar nanti masuknya dari Cloud juga enak gitu. Tapi ternyata mereka mau menghantam lagi nih. Ya udah lu pakai Digi, kita nggak mau.
Dlar main apa? Dlar main Ruby ya, Dlar ya.
Itu. Tapi kita mau bantu.
Gila si Dlar ini dia jangan bilang udah bisa bahasa Myanmar ya sekarang ya. Kalau dia bisa bahasa Myanmar juga ya anjing. Tuh orang tuh genius banget ya guys, bahasa Indonesia lancar, Myanmar lancar.
Jadi mereka bisa mainin dua playstyle yang berbeda nih, mau main ofensif atau mau main defensif juga. Dan ada lapu-lapu, salah satu hero yang sering banget digunakan sama sosok Dlar. Ya, ini bakal langsung ditutup aja, terlalu berbahaya juga karena mereka mau landingnya.
Jadi gimana nih? Mau yang bahasa Indonesia aja atau yang Rusia nih?
Jadinya menarik gitu, karena sebenarnya mereka pun belum tahu apakah Ruby-nya nggak bakal ada di XP atau bahkan Akai juga.
Ini 1080 bangsa.
Jadi mereka tebak-tebak berhadiah
masih muter semua ini. Masih muter semua nih Nevin.
Indo udah ini aja ya, udahlah ini aja lah ya.
Tapi kan kita nggak tahu.
Kalau streamer lain pada yang bahasa Indonesia atau yang bahasa Rusia guys. Tapi enakan yang bahasa Indonesia lah ya supaya kita lebih enak juga lah nontonnya ya guys ya. Indo aja ini aja lah. Lagi itu udah 1080p guys, kagak burik lah. Coba masa burik anjing 1080 HD babi.
Bakal ada Akai di arah jungler supaya nanti dari segi pengambilan objektif jungle-nya setidaknya nggak ada gangguan yang terlalu besar dari hero-hero ini. Dan untuk hero split push bisa dibilang cukup minim ya yang bakal dibawakan sama Burmese Ghouls.
Oke. Satu band terakhir, Nolan masih masuk ke dalam satu tempat ya, di mana Moss Band dan Nolan mengisinya kembali. Sementara itu Vexana, nggak boleh kamu main ya, nggak boleh, karena emang mid lane-nya juga belum terisi. Ini menjadi salah satu penghambat juga mereka nantinya. Karena dari Cici sendiri kan hero pejalan kaki emang harus mendekatkan diri kan hero melee gitu loh. Apabila terkena impact dari Vexana dengan tangan-tangan yang sangat-sangat ajaib tersebut, belum lagi cooldownnya cepet banget loh. Dan itu bisa di spam habis-habisan. Wow, Faramis. Ini Faramis juga bisa jadi roamer jatuhnya, ya kan?
Iya sih.
Lalu mereka bisa mengeluarkan satu mid laner lagi loh. Dan Ruby-nya bisa pergi ke XP lane. Junglernya bisa ke Akai. Puyeng nggak?
Menarik sih, ini diputar semua kecuali Cloud-nya ya. Cuman kalau misalnya kita asumsikan sosok Faramis ini ada di area mid lane,
Sosok Faramis ini di area mid lane.
dikeluarkan sama teman-teman dari RQ Hoshi dengan ada
Kita lihat Bruno dan tinggal tersisa last pick dari RQ
Dari
Minotaur.
Someone, pesan, kalau Dlar masih di Evo sekarang title-nya akan jadi Glory
Yep.
Creator bukan Legend
Karena kan
Creator lagi.
Dari natural
Iya,
counternya kita tahu
anjing.
mungkin udah sering melihat
Bisa-bisa berseason-season
juga
cuma
dari
jadi
Univer,
camat dia guys
itu
ya.
bisa di counter dengan sangat cepat juga oleh Faramis gitu. Jadi di saat dia lompat bisa langsung ditabrakin lagi dengan netherrealm yang dimiliki oleh Faramis, atau kali ini dengan adanya Ruby, kalau emang Ruby-nya nggak kena ya, tapi Akai bisa membubarkan gitu loh apa yang bisa dihasilkan oleh beberapa player ini. Ya, itu dia deretan hero dan satu hero terakhir nih. Yuzong.
Berarti Akai Jungler Ruby Roam yang bakal dibawa sama
Guys, kita akan langsung mulai merecord ya guys ya.
Ini dia untuk racikan yang sudah dibuat oleh KETIK.
Wow, right guys, welcome back with me Brandon. Sekarang kita akan masuk ke dalam part pertama lagi melawan Burmese Ghouls ya guys ya. Di match yang pertama ini dan tentunya akhirnya kita menemukan caster Indonesia di pertandingan Games of Future ini ya guys ya. Baru tahu gua coba beneran ada caster Indo anjing.
Tadi aku bisa lihat dan sebenarnya
by the way ini caster
plus minus
ceweknya.
sih, karena sekarang damage outputnya berarti mereka akan sangat bergantung kepada sisi gold lane-nya dan itu butuh waktu yang lumayan panjang juga. Jangan sampai early game mereka
Ya, gitu lah.
ini bisa dihabisin sama sosok atau teman-teman dari Burmese Ghouls, mengingat
Oh ini malah ini kok gak mulai-mulai cocok.
Atau perebutan objektif besar yang
Pagi
sangat
Kel, halo
tinggi.
Mon ML.
Gitu.
Dan kita lihat ya bagaimana nanti nasib dari Bruno ya, karena sekarang ada Yuzong.
Mulai.
Yuzong kita tahu bisa nabrak.
Oke, let's go.
Sekarang waktunya teman-teman, kita langsung menuju ke
Oke, sudah masuk ke dalam match-nya.
Apakah RRQ akan bisa memenangkan?
Kita lihat di sini Brusco dengan Minotaur, gue yakin banget ini akan menjadi game yang sangat rapi sekali untuk RRQ ya guys ya.
Dari seorang Nana mungkin akan sedikit mengunggulkan.
Dari
atau
kemarin tuh
menguntungkan
Brusco tuh
segi
banyak tuh
dari
hero-hero
RRQ
yang
Hoshi, apalagi mereka juga
yang
punya
lebih ke arah support
sosok
lah ya guys
roamer
ya,
yang
kayak
cukup mengganggu
Cot
dengan adanya
terus
Minotaur. Nggak cuman gangguin tapi dia
terus
bisa
apa namanya
juga bagi teman-teman di sekitarnya, dan ini akan ngebuat team fight dari RRQ Hoshi
Matilda,
cukup penting. Dan untuk di
Guinevere,
awal,
kayaknya
Zone
baru
yang
kali
akan
ini deh gue
kuat
lihat
itu
dia
mungkin
main
akan
tanknya
lebih
bener-bener
ke arah
super
seorang Brusco. Tapi nanti
badak
kalau
kayak gini ya
misalnya
guys ya.
dari seorang
Dan kita lihat di
Dlar
sini
yang punya
Irat
potensi
dengan
bakal cukup berbahaya,
Guinevere
Bang.
hypernya.
Yap, di menit pertama ini akhirnya ada satu purify yang udah
Ayo
digunakan
biji
ya.
penurat,
Ada satu purify.
keluarkan lagi combo
Belum lagi
dari
masing-masing
combo
golongan
bakso
juga
urat ya
menggunakan
guys ya.
dari purify, berarti kalau Skylar sekarang hanya ada flying tackle-nya lah yang menjadi escape ability yang dia punya, dan juga backupan dari teman-temannya. Belum lagi nanti dari motivation roar yang emang dimilikin juga, yang bisa di-sharing lagi untuk dari healingannya. Sementara sekarang di bagian bawah antara Banana dan juga Dlar tertinggal dari levelnya, tapi dengan beberapa wave minion tersebut harusnya udah bisa
10.000
disamain lagi.
dari Berdi,
Yes,
pesan,
untuk
mantap
di
Ken
RRQ
gua
mungkin
top up di
perbedaannya
backend
nggak terlalu
store dapet
signifikan,
Fanny
apalagi
out.
rotasi
Emang
juga belum
iya?
terlalu
Mantap
agresif
kali.
dari kedua belah tim. RRQ Hoshi belum memilih ke bagian XP lane, tapi dengan turtle yang sudah akan muncul dalam 5 detik lagi, setup harus segera dibuat oleh kedua belah
Oke,
tim.
masih
Kejauhan,
bermain dengan safe.
10.001
Tadi terlihat
dari Wanda, pesan
dia
pindah
mencoba
aja Ken
untuk
Buram
bisa
soalnya.
ngambil ataupun bisa memberikan gangguan.
Ya udahlah ya.
Gertak, tapi tadi cukup
Pindah aja
jauh
lah ya.
jaraknya. Namun untuk sekarang ada turtle yang udah langsung
Gambarnya sih.
That nether realm available from Nico.
Oh iya guys, jujur aja ya guys ya. Ini jujur nih guys. Lebih HD yang Rusia sih memang. Lebih jernih yang official sih guys ya. Ya udahlah ya. Lagian suara casternya juga ketutupan suara gua sih. Ya kita pakai yang Rusia aja ya, lebih mantep ya. Kok patah-patah gini anjing.
RRQ still take there, but so far RRQ has been successful. No first blood yet. 3 minutes in already in the game.
Bentar, jangan dikali dua, jangan dikali dua.
Right? Because we're talking
Jangan
about
dikali
the,
dua deh ya, kali
aggression
dua
from both
agak
these
patah-patah
teams,
guys.
And that's
Oke, kita lihat masih saja bermain. Wah, terhook semuanya. Dan Iras pun meninggal sepertinya ya guys ya. Iya, ini Inggris guys, ini Inggris ya guys ya, bukan caster Rusia. Itu salah ngomong gue, ini caster Inggris ini.
Still going to be up here on the top side, but they should be fine for now. What a play.
Oh, what the play?
Yeah, just when we were talking about no
Guys,
flirt,
ini
like,
gambarnya jauh lebih
there,
bagus sih guys.
9
Gua
seconds
nontonnya
there,
pun jadi kayak
Flicker was
agak-agak
available
buram
for
guys ya
Burmese
caster itu.
to
Wah,
down banana
anjir.
Ooh, this is
Banana
so
kalah
4-4
mekanik
trail
lawan
on
Dlar.
Burmese
Anjing,
side.
apa yang
And
terjadi,
you see kind of
cok?
like the aggression of Dlar, right? Going right into the turret to make sure that he gets the pick off, but again, kind of nullified since it was
Gila,
like a
Banana kalah
trade.
mekanik,
They're
guys.
the middle side, though. Burmese Ghouls setting things up, but not be able to get anything. Burmese Ghouls so far, they got their first blood, they got their 2 pickoffs, but it's still RRQ Hoshi leading, all because of the turtle takes that they've been taking, and not to mention, look at Skylar there over on the top side, actually forcing Stitch to actually go to the XP lane instead.
It's a good choice.
Gila ya, Dlar ini kayak memang masih jago ya guys ya.
Very smart on both sides. You know, for the most
Beneran
part,
masih
early
jago
game,
loh Dlar
not
ini,
anything
cok.
too crazy happening.
Kok
You see
bisa ya
Blake,
kayak
he continues
Dlar
to do
jadi
every time the
cadangan
flick is
doang ya
available
di
to him
ipos ya.
Is really going
Jadi
to pay off,
camat,
right,
cok.
for Burmese Ghouls. That's kind of what they have to do. But Bruce going on the other side.
Ya kita lihat di sini gagal untuk mendapatkan Montek.
10.000 dari Anto. Pesan, Bang Beken semangatin istri GW yang lagi hamil dong.
Semangat ya istri gue lagi hamil. Semangat ya buat istri Anto ya supaya hamilnya bisa terkontrol, persalinannya bisa lancar ya. Amin.
I like how Burmese Ghouls also kind of like knew that Brusco there did not have that flicker, so they were so confident in trying to take down this
Oke,
turtle to the
kita
point
lihat
that the
masih
RRQ was
farming-farming
like
dengan
trying to find
santai
the
dari
proper
Skylar.
there. We kind of see the attempts
Ini
there
kok
from
patah-patah
Irad trying
gini
to
ya,
go
tapi
in
ya
for the
anjing,
Violet
gue
Requiem
bingung,
and
Cok.
the spatial migration, but
Kayak gak ada yang perfect, tai. Masa tadi nontonnya caster Indo walaupun agak buram gak ada patah-patahnya anjing. Oke, aduh, tai ini gara-gara Faramisnya ulti dari Minotaurnya jadi kayak gak ada guna ya guys ya, bangke. Kita lihat di sini turret pun sudah berhasil untuk disekaratkan oleh Skylar ya guys ya.
About for the side of Burmese Schools though, they have to check Skylar as of the moment. He's gotten all the gold plating over on the top side.
Ganti ke yang Rusia kali ya.
Pushing the lanes pretty fast. He did mention that this Bruno is a turret.
Sebentar. Mana nih yang Rusia guys? Gentil.
For RRQ, great space that they've made, especially since they still need.
Ini masih yang Inggris, mana yang Rusia aja papi lah. Yaudah, biarin lah ini aja lah.
Gold lead, you don't see anyone leading as of the moment because everybody.
Yang penting jangan dikali dua lah guys. Kalau dikali dua itu lah yang masuk error ya guys ya.
To all these engages, right? Like once you engage, you don't have that right follow up. It might actually just be a double-edged sword for your team.
Yeah, I think that's again you have to respect the fact.
Tapi coba guys, kalau dari segi gambar ini jauh lebih bagus ya guys ya. Udah, aman. Udah gak patah-patah nih.
And Skylar not going down, able to kind of just farm.
Gak niat. Justru gue sangat niat karena gue itu ingin memberikan yang terbaik untuk kalian, anjing.
Able to work on his own here will pay off later on, of course, as you scale up on this Claude pick. So right now, stalemates.
Gila kalau yang di channel aslinya ya. Ini tuh sampai 1440 loh guys. Kalau 1440 sih jauh lebih HD lagi ya guys ya. Cuman gue takutnya makin berat sih anjing. Kita lihat di sini skor sementara adalah 1-3 ya guys ya. Gak record Ken, udah record.
As both gold laners wait there, Turtle's gonna reset once again.
Tadi habis match ini aja lah, baru gue cari yang mana yang paling lancar ya guys ya. Harusnya sih yang casternya Rusia sih paling lancar sih. PC kentang gila, VGA gua aja udah baru guys, gak mungkin kentang tuh harusnya ya guys ya. Kita lihat ulti dari Brusco, biji bakso kita mengenai 3 hero. Tapi karena ulti Faramis tidak ada yang mati, Dlar pun berhasil ditumbakan. Satu lagi. Aduh, offside anjing. Tapi gua gak peduli sih guys. Gua gak peduli kalau Irat mati, Brusco mati, yang penting Skylar aja ya gak boleh mati ya guys ya. Karena ketika Bruno itu gak mati guys ya, wah gila Okta.
mana gets whittled down quickly.
Luar biasa Okta anjing. Gila, Nana pun bersinar di MPL ya guys ya. Bangke. Gila, Cok.
Yeah, we kind of expected this coming out. All out brawl from the side. Burmese School, big window. There was a trade from RQ Hoshi on the middle lane, so that's
Gila loh,
also
Nana
pretty
ini
big for
bersinar
them
juga
to
di
give that map control
turnamen
towards their
sebesar ini
side.
guys ya.
Right now, that is big because RQ
Okta
Hoshi
biji apa? Belum. Gue belum menemukan nama yang bagus untuk Okta ya guys ya. Sampai sekarang gue belum menemukan guys. Gue masih agak bingung Cok sama Okta ini guys.
But they haven't been able to convert as much turret takes as compared to RQ Hoshi, who has been slowly taking.
Nah ini udah lancar nih, udah lancar banget ya guys ya. Sudah tidak ada patah-patah lagi di antara kita ya guys ya. Udah mantap jiwa nih guys.
Than what Stitch has, but so far, you know, we can't count out Stitch just yet. This is a claw that you're talking about. He just picked up the Demon Hunter sword too, so that's going to be big for the side of Burmese Schools when it comes to these clashes. That blazing duet, that Stitch has to time up really well. He also has that Purify, so pretty much he's just going to go for the cleanup.
Dari segi duit, anjing guys. Guys, kalian lihat duitnya Cok. Anjing, duit Skylar 8.000 anjing.
They got the Lord work in here.
Anjing, Cok, duit Skylar 8.000 itu duit Cloud-nya aja ya. Itu Cloud-nya skornya tadi 3-0, duitnya cuma 6.400 anjing. Wah gila, Cok, Skylar ini farmingnya sinting banget, tai. Dan gua mau jelasin ya kalau pada ya yang ngehujat Brusco ya guys ya. Kalian pasti tahu guys, Skylar ini bisa sampai sekaya ini guys. Itu tuh karena ada faktor dari zoningannya Brusco, coverannya Brusco. Jadi kalian tuh jangan ngehujat roamernya gitu loh guys. Karena semuanya tuh berkesinambungan ya guys ya. Tanpa ada roamer yang jago, marksman itu pasti susah buat jadi loh guys.
10.000 dari someone. Pesan Okta biji gurita Octopus.
What they both have in common right now is the timing of the ultimates. The Nether Realm here, the blazing duet. Even for the side of RQ, the timing here of Brusco.
Oke, kita lihat di menit ke-10 ini. Tanpa Lord, apakah akan dijeboli turretnya? Woi, turret udah hancur anjing menit 10, tai. Ini sih gila. Ini sih pembantaian ya guys ya. Skylarnya terlalu jadi nih, Cok.
Big item picks up as well. The Flask of the Oasis now for Brusco. Sustainability going to be there, and they're getting another turret as well.
Anjing, Cok, ini pembantaian. Waduh, Skylar ketarik, Cok. Masih ada Purify ya? Wah, gila, Cok, ini Skylarnya anjing. Anjing, Cok. End, guys. Aduh, Skylarnya mati ya? Anjing, Skylarnya. Wah, gila, guys. Wah, gila, Cok. Kasih tahu Skylar. Langsung. Oke.
Game number 1.
Wow, just when we thought that it could have been at least like a more than 15 minutes game.
Wah, gila, cocok.
Both sides are actually
wah, gila anjing duitnya Skylar sih ngerampok, tai guys. Record macam apa ini cuma 12 menit anjing. Wah, gila guys. Kocak anjing.
Taking up all of the damage, but that actually enabled Skylar and even Octa.
Terlalu gila, Cok, Skylar, cocok.
Everyone down.
10.000
Okta biji tengah aja bang, agak bagus.
Pesan Okta biji tengah aja bang.
RRQ kenapa ini? Kok ngamuk banget? Sampai gak ngerti lagi gua. Skylar.
It's like a switch just flipped for RQ at some point, right? And they were able to really kind of make these decisive skirmishes and these team fights that gave them the upper hand. And that could just be the experience, the patience that they have, but it definitely just kind of shown here how strong they can be in some of these team fights and the way they approach them, because very quickly it just went in their favor here, especially after fights like this kind of turned out.
Yeah, the problem too here with the side of Burmese schools once it reached the late game, right? For
10.000
Stitch, he was able to
dari Teteh
kinda
Honik,
have that,
pesan, Okta
kinda
nama
have that
bini
killing spree,
gua
right? Even
Ken.
in these clashes, you can see he's been
Okta nama
popping
bini
these
gua
blink
Ken. Oh ya,
bullets,
mantap kali brother.
It timed really well, and it actually kind of made it hard for RRQ Hoshi in the team fight. So RRQ Hoshi
salah.
kind of understood that. They're like, okay, we have to kind of address the backlines here, or maybe kind of force Burmese schools to pop in all of their ultimates. Once it's all down, it's gonna be kind of
Gila ya, alangkah cepetnya match ini guys.
For RQ, they were willing to take down the backlines. Here,
Kayak gak ada tegang-tegangnya sama sekali, Cok. Tapi mantap sih, ini berarti menunjukkan bahwa RRQ ini sudah sangat matang lah ya. Sudah sangat luar biasa dan tidak bisa di outplay ya guys ya.
For their side, they did have the protection in the form of the Faramis, but it was kind of not enough to take down the main problem, which is, of course, backline, and at the same time, Banana as well, being the...
Yang ini bahasa apa nih?
Победе очень уверенная игра по объектам.
Lah.
Они практически ничего не отдавали.
Kok ini yang Rusia belum kelar anjing?
До самого конца. Ну и, конечно, красиво.
Udah yang Inggris aja lah udah, jangan aneh-aneh lah guys. Anjing, yang Rusia belum kelar, Cuk. Apaan, Cuk?
It really is super annoying to be in lane with. You've seen even in the early phase of the game where, you know, Dlar really had a hard time to clear out the
Guys,
lane.
bentar,
Like,
bikin
had a
thumbnail.
much better wave clear, and at the same time, it was really, really annoying when it comes to these clashes that, you know, he was just zoning the backlines, and it was hard for, you know, either Nico or even Stitch here to get the prime position in the class.
Yeah, it was great. Again, you know, Banana didn't even have, you know, he didn't have to have that many items to do what he wanted to do. You know, he had a couple locked in there on the defensive, and he was able to play around the Vengeance as well. And he was just really good at kind of playing that front line when Brusco wasn't available, or maybe Brusco had already done.
Hey guys, bentar, gua ke WC ya.
Where it looked like he was going to go down, but Banana was, you know, there then to deal with, and he's just kind of a nuisance for a Burmese Ghoul lineup to deal with. And even though, once again, when we were talking about it in the draft here, they had a lot of utility available to them for Burmese Ghouls. They had a lot of just options that they could have used, and we saw glimpses of that, you know, like that's what we saw from Blink early on. And it just, unfortunately, it did not result in what they wanted to. It's like at some point they were keeping up with RQ, and then things just kind of, you know, fell apart from there. And then you just don't have enough time, I feel like, for the Claude to build up. I mean, this was a rather quick game. And most people will know that when Claude is locked in, like, that's the thing you need. You need time, man. You need time to build up, to get the 3-4 items that you need, and then to be really that pressure, whether that's in the team fights or you're just pushing a side lane. But, you know, and that's one of the great things why that matchup happens so often, where a Claude is locked in, and then you see a Bruno across from you, because honestly, Bruno just needs like 2 items, and he's kind of already doing the damage, you know, like he already kind of hurt. So, you know, and this is something that was unfolding here, not to mention the reason why, Kim, we see so much Nana right now, because sometimes all you have to do is drop the blitz, you know, that's it. Drop the blitz in the straight line. You've got it paired up with,
fine.
Yeah, you've got the, you know, you've got the Minotaur as well. So it lines everything up really perfectly. And I feel like, again, Burmese Ghouls lineup, they kind of needed a little more time here. And RQ knew the assignment. They're just like, yeah, we're not going to give you guys the time that you need to scale up against what we have. And that was the case of game number 1. You know, it was a well-played execution, because anytime you really see these games end at this, you know, this time frame,
10.000 dari Someone, pesan, Coach Friend bagus sih ini, buset objektifnya udah lama RR playnya cuma bisa muter-muter gak bisa end.
Iya. Emang kelihatan banget dari match pertama mereka di Games of Future itu. Udah sangat kelihatan gameplay RRQ itu objektifnya gila ya guys ya. Game pertama RRQ aja menang dari cara split push kan. Berkembang banget sih untuk objektifnya, gila tai.
And should they change that up for game 2 to get to a game 3, because again it's match point.
10.000 dari Bekentot, pesan Okta jadi biji onta aja, Ken mukanya kayak orang Yaman juga wakaka.
Woi, mulut kau cocok.
The adjustments that you have to make, knowing that, I mean, even the pressure, thinking about that the next match is going to be a match point for you, and if you don't win it, or if you don't take it to game number 3, it's over for your team, right? I feel definitely a lot of pressure
10.000
from Burmese schools.
dari
What I
anaknya
noticed
Muski.
from their draft
Pesan,
is they're
begeken
kind of,
burung aku selalu
reacting
berdiri
to
lihat
what
kamu, makanya
RRQ
burungku
actually put
namanya
out, right? Like
Brandon.
they had burst who answered it out with the fairness, but they pretty much didn't
Bangsat kau
think
ya.
about like the overall picture of like how that will all pull in together, right? Like for what RRQ did is they worked in on those turrets, they gave so much space also for their team in that early game. So for the side of Burmese schools, I think they kind of had to play it out. Of course, we'll stay here in the second game, and at the same time, maybe try to go for what they did in the group stage, like picking something different in the mid lane, or maybe perhaps like going for a little bit more of like comfort picks rather than reacting to the draft here of RRQ.
Yeah, I feel like if I had to pick something apart, like I understand the Faramis kit and how it can provide some of that utility, of course, with the Nether Realm and everything else, but it just didn't feel like it could have been. Like, there probably was a better
10.000
option
dari
for me
someone.
personally that you could have
Pesan,
put mid lane
Bang
there to match
ucapin
against
stop
Nana.
cabang buat
And I
Dev
did
KW.
mention, again,
Dev
this
KW,
season,
stop
Aurora
cabul
top
ya.
Of course, the I
Tinggal
believe
match
the
2.
Texana was, I think it was
Ya ini
banned
kayaknya
out.
bakal jadi game yang cepet sih guys buat RRQ ini ya.
That has popped up a lot.
10.000
Of course,
dari
Nobar, yeah,
Megawati
but that was
Luz.
banned out.
Pesan
So it's like,
yang caster
again,
bahasa
you kind of have to
Indonesia
decide
Idol.
what is our game plan. It
Ah
just felt
tadi
like
udah lihat
that
bahasa
lineup,
Indonesia,
that
cuma gambarnya
composition
agak
that they
burik,
had with
brother.
the utility.
Lebih bagus
That's what
gambar
we're
yang
gonna do.
channel
And we hope
aslinya.
that, again, we are buying enough time for our Claude to farm up, and it just didn't get to that point. So you were talking about what they could do here. I personally think that what I'd love to see Burmese is do kind of what they did yesterday, They were a little more aggressive in their picking and their play style. And if that also means, hey, maybe this means put Dlar, put a Paquito in Dlar's hands so he can be a little more proactive and a little bit more like of a threat, I guess.
Tumben gua upload
in
video
this
kagak
and
dolar
deal with
kuning
it
anjing.
because I don't know. Yuzhong right now for me is just not cutting it. I don't know the 100%.
Berarti ya,
statistic
ini
on
kalau
who wins
misalnya
this, but
RRQ
he's not
menang guys,
that good, though.
besok nih bakal ketemu
So far
AP
from what
Brand
I've
ya
seen,
guys ya. Kayaknya
he's
besok
only
match
been
yang
picked
berat
a
ini
couple
ya.
times. Maybe
Yeah,
he's even
6 times
just
to be exact.
okay, he's been picked 6 times. Like it seems like a struggle.
Caster Rusia aja Bang Ken, ada facecamnya.
А если обыграют, представляешь?
Coba ntar gua
буду болеть за Homeboys, выгодно проигрывать с чемпионом.
Coba gua compare nanti ya guys ya. Coba ntar gua compare apakah yang channel Rusia ini ada facecam.
Тут вообще без вариантов.
Да, самая сильная группа, как обычно, недооценили, виноваты. А потом оказалось, что с чемпионами. Да, Виталий?
Деву группа
Kita sekarang mencoba ke channel yang Rusia ya guys ya.
Очень мило вы говорите.
Ты котик, я котик.
Ntar gua sambil buka yang Inggris sih juga deh guys.
Вот на котиков, да, если любишь разного рода контент, и притом качественный контент, обязательно подписывайтесь на телеграм игр будущего, где вы можете увидеть кучу разных вещей, нарезки,
кучу разных
лучшие
вещей,
моменты, лучшие
какие-то
активности, увидеть супер крутые мувики и так далее и тому подобное. Вот вам кодик, по которому вы переходите, вы его сканируете, переходите и подписывайтесь на
Ini mah gua tonton.
Будет
10.000 dari Basman. Pesan, Ken bentar lagi puasa tahun ini ada konten puasa 1 hari GK.
Ada, brother.
Вышло, пришлось перечитать за вчерашний день, потому что очень насыщенная у нас сейчас программа в Mobile Legends. Много матчей и...
Sumpah cok, yang Inggris tuh selalu lebih mulai duluan anjing.
Происходит вот здесь, ну, в Казани. Представляете? Не в Казане, а в Казани. Прикиньте.
Прикиньте, у нас пикибаны. Наша коронная песня, трактор.
Пикибаны.
10.000 dari Abai. Pesan, halo Ken, sehat selalu.
Halo, udahlah. Terima kasih ya, bye. Udahlah, emang harus yang Inggris aja lah guys. Bingung gua tai. Ya Inggris jauh lebih cepet anjir. Ya, game kedua ya.
Dealing with that. And for RQ Hoshi, they're going to be like, we're going to focus on this utility jungle. We don't want to deal with that right now. And we'll see if they actually go still that way with these last bans in this first phase. What are we thinking here, Kim?
10.000 dari Kingdom Manado. Pesan, 1 rat biji berurat.
Biji berurat ya guys ya. Bentar guys, mau ambil charger.
Can take care of itself. I mean, he's the general after all, so he can has to be the one to like lead the charge in the XP lane. And for Burmese Ghouls, I think for RQ Hoshi, they have a good
10.000
idea of like
dari
banning
someone.
away these
Pesan,
utility type of heroes
EVOS
that
di sini,
Sam's has been
EVOS
so
di
good
sana,
at
tapi di
picking
Rusia
up.
gak ada Windah
Mass ban is
Basudara
a bit of a Zelda here that still
2024.
I think it should be permanently on the ban list with
Apa hubungannya, Tai? Itu Winda yang
at the
ngomong.
same time how much mobility it can give to the entire team. And Burmese Ghouls, like what you mentioned, Naisu, it is going to be your first pick here for the side of Burmese Ghouls. Again, I cannot confirm if this is going to be in the jungle. A good flex pick here coming from Burmese Ghouls, but for RQ Hoshi,
10.000 dari Megalodon. Pesan yang caster bahasa Indonesia nonton di mana?
Di channel yang SEA.
In the first game.
And there it is, right? I mean, I know I disappeared for a second. I heard everything you said there, though, Kim. But the Guinevere popping up, I think that's a great choice. You kind of play around that now. And like I said, you said this too, go back to some of that foundation that you have.
Indah kita
I
Surayono.
feel like still you gotta be able to answer. There it is, the Nana. The Nana was open, so it's probably most likely going to be taken once again for RQ as they do that. And this time too, they go with the Claude themselves. So this could be something where it's like, all right, Burmese Ghouls, do you actually want to go with that similar match?
Nah, kita lihat ya di game yang kedua ini. RRQ berhasil untuk mendapatkan Cloudy ya guys ya, dan kembali juga dengan Nana. Ketika Skylar sudah berhasil untuk mendapatkan Cloudy ya, it's gonna be fun ya guys ya.
Twice even yesterday, giving them the success. They could still flex it. Like there's still room for that. Paquito comes up to. It's just like I was saying.
That's what I was waiting for.
Go to what worked for them yesterday, and try that here. There's the Bruno. So this is looking very similar to if you guys caught game 2 of yesterday.
10.000 dari Wong Kito Galo. Pesan, Bang kok gak ikut live bareng Pak BG Sin R7 dan Joe ikutlah Bang biar seru.
Gak apa-apa brother, gue solo aja.
I think they had Valentina.
Karena gue nih gak terkenal brother.
So the Grok was there, and you know it's we'll see if that happens. But they're going back to that foundation we were talking about.
We're going back.
Yeah, the Paquito here and the Guinevere. I just want to say that this is really confusing right now, especially for, let's say, some of the people who just come in. They're pretty new to the meta. Nico has actually flexed this Paquito in the group stage twice, back-to-back games in the mid lane. Not only can Dlar do that split push, Nico can also do the exact
Ruby, ini Ruby yang main siapa ya?
Brusco sih harusnya ya. That they were going up against, I think that was Lil Gun that they've gone up against in the group stage, and Nico's Paquito was really deadly, like hiding in the bush, getting in those single target pickoffs with his ultimate, and is able to delete, like pretty much like the Nana, I can delete you out of the map. So I still can't tell like if this lineup of Burmese Schools is
Dava Bita, terima kasih satu membershipnya.
Things like that. But for RQ Hoshi right now, they have this lineup that's packed with like bursts. So they need someone to frontline. They pick up the Ruby here. Again, I still don't know if this is going to be a Brusco hero or a Banana hero. I think they might adjust depending on what Burmese Schools will pick up here for their last 2 picks.
Yeah, I'm wondering if RQ Hoshi even wants to ban out the Valentina. They might not go that route. And just let it slip through, because I could see also if it is a Dlar Paquito, right, and then you take the Valentina for Burmese Ghouls, you actually can take the Ruby Ultimate, the I'm Offended, and use it. We've seen that happen before, but obviously too, just having the Nana available to you, having that Melina Blitz is also quite devastating when you have a Guinevere there. And like you mentioned already, Paquito, one of the great things about it is you put the pressure of getting that passive from Nana down really quickly, because it's like, you know, couple hits and that's
a couple hands.
She's kind of squishy. So they don't go that route. They do take out the Grok, which was, again, in this lineup that they have, very similar, being built up to what they did yesterday. Grok was...
Udahlah, cepatlah ini trafiknya Burmese Goal. Udah pasti kalah, lu cepet aja lah. Jangan sosok mikir ya guys ya. Kocak banget coy, di Burmese Goal itu pemainnya ada Lilo and Stitch ya guys ya. Kocak.
They just have this Ruby, how do they want to build up the XP lane, you know, specifically, because if it is a Paquito across from them, Arlot's going to be taken out. I was going to say Arlot, or even maybe they go with a Lapu if they want to have some more setup potential and pair up with the Ruby here. But now that the second phase of the bans are done, we'll see where this kind of falls into place here for RQ.
Yeah, I'm looking at the draft here of both sides so far.
Jangan sombong ya, dikit pas lawan Geek. Oh iya sih, gak boleh sombong ya.
Looking out the grok, like just kind of anticipating that.
Sombong nanti kalah nggak?
These schools might pull off here.
Ya udah. Ilmu padi bosku.
I like how
ilmu padi bosku, kita harus ilmu padi ya guys ya.
Schools has that in the form of the Guinevere here. Still thinking, what else do we have here? They still. Sometimes these drafts can get pretty confusing because you still don't know who's gonna go where. But now RQ Hoshi, they lock in this Fred in here, which is actually a very good front line.
10.001 dari Wanda. Pesan, ingatkan Kingdom tidak boleh sombong, harus respect.
This might be a Brusco hero. Like, this would be so good up against like Burmese schools' lineup. Like having that
harus respect
roam all around the map can be really hard for heroes like the Guinevere and the Paquito here. Still not confirmed where it's going to be going. I like the Valentina choice here. Could be a great pickup, but and again, there's so many good ultimates here from the side of RQ, which kind of gets you thinking, which one did you pick up, right? Is it going to be the Molina Blitz of the Nana? Is it the I Am Offended? Or is it even the Blazing Duet here of the Claude? I think the Valentina would still be good here.
How do you feel about Aurora? Is this a place
kind of hard though to go up against the Fredrin though. I think I prefer the Valentina. Okay. I prefer the Valentina. I mean the Aurora is great though, but it can't burst down the tanky front line here of RQ. So I like this coming out from Burmese schools. It's kind of going back to what they're known for, and here it is. So. Is this a... Oh, okay. So it is going to be... Yeah, it's going to be a Roam Guinevere here. And then that's going to be a Baksha in the jungle.
Yep. And that's what I was saying. Like, when that was locked in the first time, like, there was the flex available, right? And they kind of...
10.000 dari Zul. Pesan, halo Bang Ken.
You know, just assuming, you know, we might as well fight utility for utility in the jungle and kind of try to win some of those objective fights, those dances. The Minotaur is going to be locked in once again. This is very tanky for RQ Hoshi, right?
Yeah. This is a very tanky.
In a position that Burmese Ghouls was in the previous game, right? Where again, you're really waiting for this Claude to scale up, get the items that he needs. But
Oke. Kita langsung masuk ke dalam match selanjutnya. Alright guys, welcome back with me Brandon. Sekarang kita akan masuk ke dalam match kedua antara Anarchy melawan Burmese Ghouls ya guys ya.
Terrifying her kid as well, kind of helping around the kind of early skirmishes that will happen here, and you have to respect her damage as well. So this is a lot better. Like I like the Valentina a lot better than the Faramis. I know Faramis, you know, some people be like, oh, you can build them in a certain way, pick up a certain emblem, and you can have great damage on a Faramis. Yeah, you could, but you know, this I like this better because it also goes back to what they did yesterday in one of their quickest games, 12 minutes. And just like we saw in the previous game, it was a very quick game from RQ Hoshi. So I feel like the pieces
I really like
this puzzle for the Burmese Ghouls is exactly what they need.
Boleh kali dihilangin bukan casternya, woi. Cok, gimana gua menonton, oi. Baru dihilangin, cok. Oke, udah dimulai. Nah, ini ada facecam-nya ini, mantap.
Early action as well. But yeah, anything standing out of the ordinary here for you, Kim?
Oke. Saksa di sini menggunakan Baxia, Lilo and Stitch menggunakan Bruno ya guys ya.
Again, that's gonna be crucial too, especially since RQ has all of these setups, right? You got the Minone.
Yang pakai Ruby ternyata banana ya, gue pikir Brusco. Brusco di sini kembali lagi untuk menggunakan Minotaur ya guys ya.
Dari Zen, pesan Epos gak diajak karena Dark System 1 kata lucu M-Wang.
Oke, kita lihat.
Already, Saksa are gonna take some damage, but again. these are, you know, very tanky heroes that don't have a ton of damage right now, so no one gonna go
Waduh,
down.
hati-hati Brusko.
Still a lot of CC
Kok ini
potential, though.
jadi sangat-sangat agresif gini ya guys ya.
One thing that's great about the Minotaur, especially later on when he kind of rushes.
Gue berharap game ini sih
10.000
bakal sedikit agak
dari
berat
Pak
tapi tetap
Kades.
ujung-ujungnya
Pesan,
RRQ yang menang.
Bang mau tanya anggota KPPS sekarang kerjanya apa ya?
Waduh, gak tahu ya. Dan ternyata beneran ya bakal agak sedikit berat ya guys ya.
Exactly what they need here in game.
Ayo latihan RRQ. Early game berat, abis itu ngebantai lagi seperti kemarin-kemarin ya guys ya.
I like how they pick this up too compared to the Aurora.
Pindah facecam, apanya pindah facecam? Itu facecam RRQ udah bener di kanan, goblok.
To level 4 right before a major objective like the turtle, which is really good, right? You need all of these great ultimates to pick up. Right now, it's all up to Nico whether you want to pick up that Minotaur's ultimate or whether even if you want to go for Octa's ultimate here would be great. Burmese School started out real strong. Now they're looking to take in this first turtle game, and so far RRQ after that those first two pickoffs actually they're kind of
Anjing langsung di burst Bruskonya guys. Anjing Bruskonya hampir semati gila, Irat sampai nge-cover loh. Oke, kita lihat di sini Skylar masih belum mau ikut war, langsung kembali lagi ke arah atas untuk mendapatkan gold ya guys ya. Banana mati juga, double kill tapi untuk Okta it's okay. Double kill ditukar oleh double kill ya guys ya. Gila, Dlar udah dapat 2 assist guys, ngeri kali ya Dlar ini ya.
Brusco not having that level 4 just yet. Take a look at the replay.
Brusco sampai sekarang belum level 4 loh guys.
Keep an eye on that. It looks like they do. But this was a great play here from both teams. I mean, a lot of response back and forth.
Oh, tapi sekarang udah level 4 sih.
The turtle.
Let's go.
By Burmese Ghouls.
Yeah, I like the clap back there of RRQ. They kind of like, okay, you know what? Burmese Schools is going full aggressive. They actually went in for the full aggression too.
Aduh, keangkat lagi tapi masih ada purify, santai.
Burmese Schools is like the tanky.
Ayo Skylar, ajari si Lilo and Stitch itu untuk cara bermain Cloudy yang baik dan benar ya guys ya. Oke, mantap kali.
Even here on the top side, we have to check the laning phase here of Stitch and Skylar, and so far Skylar has been doing well up against this Bruno. As compared to earlier, like a lot of poke here coming out from both of our marksmen.
Aduh, mati ya anjing. Skill 2-nya Skylar pinter banget ke situ. Wah gila, coveran Irat sama Brusco. Ngeri banget coverannya anjing.
10.000 dari Dilan. Pesan, Bang kasih tahu Edbert kalau main biliar itu yang disodok bola bukan kasirnya yang disodok.
Edbert, kamu tuh kalau main biliar tuh sodok bola, bukan sodok kasirnya ya goblok.
And it looks like Burmese Ghouls still wants to put the pressure here on the top side. Irad gonna spot Blink out. Trying to get a little bit of extra gold here for Stitch, but ultimately resulting in nothing for now.
Yeah, you see how Burmese Schools also positioned themselves over on the top side, right? Kind of anticipating that RRQ Hoshi might actually create some pressure here up against Stitch. As long as he's fine, right? As long as he's able to get in his first 2 items, that should be good. Which is actually pretty much what the Burmese Schools has been doing so far here. 4 minutes in, they've been taking all of the turtles, and not to mention, like I want to point out that Saksa has been getting all of the kills too, which is really good for a Baksha here in the early game. If you think about it, it's not easy, right? To have this Baksha. You got the Nana, you got all of these frontliners, you got the taunt from the Fredrin, so it's not gonna be easy to go.
Gila, networknya RRQ kalah loh.
As long as they can.
Gila, ini game kedua ini panas nih kayak Burmese Ghouls ini ya guys ya.
Really take on onto the turtles.
Oke, Turtle, kita lihat Brusco langsung memberikan monteknya dan berhasil untuk mendapatkan Turtle dari Irat ya guys ya. Woi gila, setup yang luar biasa yang gak akan dimiliki oleh publik anjing. Dlar mati ya, Dlar mati. Anjing masih selamat. Okta! Anjing! Satu skill 1 dari Banana dan kita lihat mulai tumbang satu persatu dari Burmese Ghouls. Mereka semua bijinya mulai dicabuli ya guys ya. Nice banget. Kita lihat langsung rotasi anjing. Ini rotasi player RRQ gak ada hentinya anjing. Wah gila cok, sumpah cok. Anjing rapi banget RRQ mainnya anjing. Rotasinya gak berhenti, tai cocok. Ih, rapi banget anjing, bener-bener cok. Demen banget gua cocok. Okta langsung ngeblok dari belakang. Brusco ngeblok dari tengah. Skylar langsung blessing duet front Skylar. Kelas.
It's pretty much even with all the action here, and now it's the 5-5 even across the board.
Yeah, if the economy is kind of equal, what you kind of take a look at is, do they have the map control? How's their goal
Guys,
doing?
jangan lupa ya, baju gua masih gua obral. Lagi ngabisin gudang. Stok-stok terakhir baju gua. Langsung kalian beli di Shopee-nya Use Your Brain. Linknya ada di description ya guys ya. Waduh, gila, banana keangkat lagi. Mati dong. Aduh, terlalu sakit cok damage dari Bruno-nya nih.
Great setup once again, spatial migration into the Requiem, able to get a kill now.
Gila ini Bruno ini problem juga ya guys ya.
Mentioning, you know, you have to look at who has this kind of advantage, right? And space-wise, yeah, it's RQ. They've got 2 turrets. Burmese Ghouls, though, they don't care right now, and they're going to be making their way to this next objective, the turtle. If they can secure this one,
diskon guys, diskon, semuanya diskon 50% guys. Dari 100.000 sampai 125.000 ya baju gua ya.
Burmese Ghouls get the first turret of the game for themselves here on the top side with Dlar doing the work. But nothing committing just yet. They're going to back off. Soxa going in with the rest of the team. Nico has the guy offended himself. Goes in right
anjing, Brusco aja ditarik. Anjing, Brusco-nya di burst tai. Apa banget cok Brusco di burst anjing. Gak jelas tai. Wah, RRQ gak ada tank depan sini. Ini berharap dari banananya ini guys ya. Oke, kita lihat di sini Turtle pun masih di reset. Brusco udah hidup, akan langsung on the way ke arah Turtle ya guys ya. Ayo, combo bakso urat lagi yuk. Come on. Combo bakso urat lagi ya guys ya. Biji berurat dan biji bakso akan menghancurkan segalanya ya guys ya. Oke, gak ada yang terkena Guinevere.
Blink could be in trouble here. Skylar.
Wah, tumben Skylar. Mr. Bombastic.
So they're happy with it. Dlar able to get the next turret down in the bottom side. So trade cross map objectives for now.
Oke, Turtle udah berhasil diamankan kembali, santai.
I think it's a point that the Burmese Ghouls kind of understands that the RQ Hoshi, yeah, okay, they've been winning in all of these team fights so far. So Dlar, I like what he's doing, and this was what he has been doing even in the group stage, right? Creating a space for Burmese Ghouls, and you really need this, especially in the current meta that everybody really loves to go for team fights, and sometimes you don't even notice it. You don't really have that space in the map. It's going to be harder to go for those team fights, especially like once these turrets are down, you kind of have to send someone back in. So it's going to be like -1 when it comes to the team fight. So not only do you have to join in the team fights, you have
Dan jangan lupa untuk selalu top up di bkstore.id ya guys ya. Selalu top up di bkstore.id, oke? Terbaik, tercepat, dan termurah guys. Linknya ada di description juga, oke?
Building up enough time for this thing for Skylar here. Now, once again in the mid lane, they want to go ahead and duke it out. Brusco taking a
anjing, banyak banget saksanya, cok.
Gets some annoying fury as well, but look at the backside. Nico's going to be the one to fall, and now Irad holding Stitch.
Ayo Irad, harus mati tuh Bruno-nya. Nice. Dapat 2 dan dapat marksman-nya juga ya guys ya. Malah Baxianya gak mati anjing, masih 304, cok.
10.000 dari Metapause. Pesan live pertandingan Onyx Gabang.
Kayaknya enggak nih, brother. Nanti kita lanjut live streaming buat push rank nanti malam ya guys ya.
Not sure he's actually still in the chase there, by the way, on the live cam. But what a setup and what a play here from our.
Tapi sumpah, cok, RRQ ini beberapa match terakhir ini mereka selalu bisa mengembalikan keadaan walaupun awalnya mereka tertekan ya guys ya. Kalian lihat tuh. Di zoning sampai tolol musuhnya anjing. Okta biji tatanan aja Ken, apa cok? Dan kita lihat Lord sudah dimulai oleh Irad. Wah, apa sih anjing, patah-patah mulu, tai, nggak jelas. Kemarin kita nontonnya channel Rusia nggak pernah begini ya.
like if you look at Skylar's stats, 203 on this Claude, you saw in that last replay that he was already shredding apart all these tanky front lines that the Burmese schools had with just one blazing duet.
Yeah, and with that, I mean,
kadang-kadang.
11 minutes in, you're quite beefy on this Claude here for Skylar, and it's showing, right? A lot of the times, even if Brusco was out there, you know, some people might be like, oh, Brusco, what are you doing? But a lot of the times, he's actually able to be a nuisance so much on this Minotaur.
Lord sudah berjalan dari arah tengah. Ini kayaknya bakal ngancurin turret yang kedua dulu sih guys ya.
That's just how it's been so far. But now that they're playing around this Lord here, you can see Dlar still
badannya nggak kena ya ultinya.
He picks up the malefic roar. He's gonna go ahead and try to get that. But
ih ngapain sih tuh Valentinanya iseng banget tarik-tarik Ruby guys. Iseng banget ya anjing. Buset, iratnya udah banyak banget itu ya. Dan kita lihat Dlar dengan sangat pintar. Nge-cut lane di arah atas.
So again, Dlar is just trying to find what he can here, Kim.
Now it seems like this was the same case. Like this Paquito seems to be a staple choice here for the Burmese schools, not only for Dlar. There was also a time in the group stage that this was the thing that Nico has been doing. And taking a look at the items here so far, it is going to be, wow, Skylar at least leading in terms of a gold lead here right now. 9,000.
Duit Skylar sih selalu kayak ngerampok anjing. Udah mau 10.000 ya guys ya. Duit Bruno-nya baru 9.000 guys.
10.000 dari Cindi. Pesan, yuk yang mau join meme Cindi spesial.
Cindi, kamu tuh jangan jual diri terus ya Cindi. Kau punya PP itu sudah kelebaran Cindi. Stop jual diri oke.
It's really tough to deal with because you also got to catch him, right? The way that he's going to use that BMI to kind of get out of some of these situations. Octa picking up a Divine Glaive as well. Minoran Fury with the flicker combination goes through. Look at them getting whittled down. Saksa could be in trouble. There's the knockup though.
Mati dong Saksanya. Akhirnya Saksanya mati ya guys ya. Kita lihat Dlar. Dlar masih licin banget anjing. Masih GG coy Dlarnya guys.
Still 30 seconds away from this Lord, but RQ finds a kill.
Yeah, the swing of the goal too from 30
10.000 dari PLG. Pesan, Okta Deka KETIK BGB KECUALI.
Okta gak punya biji anjing.
RQ was willing to commit that clash. Like Saksa was right in the middle. Skylar having that insane amount of burst, plus Octa too. So it's not going to be easy for a boxer to just roll in when you have the Molina onto him. Actually, if you take a look at the replay, you might actually catch it. He gets in that Minoan.
Okay, Lord sudah akan dimulai ya guys ya.
Set things up here for both Octa and Skylar to just free hit him. Now it's going to be the first.
Permainan network sudah 4.000 untuk RRQ di sini.
Let's see, Burmese Ghouls, do they actually want to try to pull something off? Saksa could come down to it. Nico holding on to that Ruby ultimate once again. RQ knows what's up. Dlar also positioning here. They're going to have to go for it. Praise's Wrath going to come down. Irad able to secure it though.
Gila itu Baxia. Berusaha banget coba buat kontes Lordnya anjing.
In trouble. Gets I'm offended combination here. Flickers on out. Dlar couldn't do anything but
ya, 5 detik lagi Lord akan keluar. Let's go.
Ready to make the power play.
Oh, I like the attempt there of Saksa to try and steal in with the Lord. Roll in and click that retribution. But I think Burmese schools kind of was trying to go for maybe possibly a split push. Like if you look at that particular moment when Saksa was going to try to go in, like you see Dlar and Stitch going to try to make a move on that mid lane, but it's a little bit too late now because Enhanced Lord for the side of RRQ. They can take all of the inhibitors here. They don't have a good amount of burst to take down the front line.
Yeah.
But here comes Irad.
Oke, Lord sudah masuk dan kita damage dari Skylar. Sudah tidak ada obat ya guys ya. Dlar, wajing Dlarnya masih bertahan, cok.
From Dlar though, so it's a 1-for-1 for now. Can they hold it together? Blink gonna be able to jump in. Takes quite a bit of damage himself. The flicker comes through.
Hati-hati cok, hati-hati sama Dlarnya cok. Kita lihat Nikonya masih tumbakan.
Dari Gary Katiandaho, pesan, sorry telat bang.
Halo, Gary Katiandaho. Aduh, besok kayaknya nggak bisa nonton yang Inggris juga sih guys. Patah-patah banget anjing, nggak tahu kenapa cok. Dan Dlar pun ditumbangkan. Apakah ini akan menjadi endgame untuk Burmese Gold ya guys ya? Ini ada lower bracket, upper bracket gak sih guys? Apa yang udah kalah berarti udah selesai aja gitu?
Yeah, if they overcommit there, they could have been punished
10.000
there by
dari
Snitch,
Merbebek,
who also has,
pesan Okta biji inti bumi
all
ajaken.
the items
Apa
that,
hubungannya,
right in the
anjing?
late game, and by this time, like 16 minutes in mid to late
Kalah
game,
pulang. Oh,
everybody
kalah langsung
has
pulang ini ya.
what they need to be able to go up against their
Anjing,
opponents.
ngeri
But what
banget ya
are
turnamen ini ya.
last year,
Kalah
as
langsung
compared to
pulang
Burmese
anjing.
Ghouls, the burst damage. You've seen it in the Nana, that was like 2 hits onto Saksa. He
Yeah.
also has the Athena's shield there, so even that wasn't able to counter it out. And not to mention,
Emang ya.
notice his emblem here right
Om
now.
Putin
that-
ini
that
nggak mau pusing guys,
additional,
orangnya guys.
burn that you
Lu
get
kalah ya lu
when you
pulang
up
gitu
your
loh, cok.
skills, from
Cao
that
Cibe
emblem
kata dia
knockback.
guys.
So, kinda
Dia udah nggak mau
hard for
ada
Kenki
pusing,
to
ada
find
lower
where
bracket,
he's
lower
gonna
bracket.
have to
Apa itu
rely
lower
on,
bracket kata
Snitch
dia,
here.
cok?
And even Blink. Then again, same case from what they had in game number 1. Great solid front line, but no one to kind of answer out to the back line here of our Kyoshi, because Dlar's busy pushing, right? Dlar's busy pushing. There's no one to take down the Nana, no one to take down Skylar, who is also very mobile here as a Claude.
When you're looking at RQ Hoshi here, Skylar 3-0 and 7, Octa 4-0 and 8, it's tough to deal with, like that kind of damage, because it's kind of like, even if you're trying to get them down, you have to work through the passive, you have to work through a BMI and a wind of nature. Like there's so many things to fall through, not to mention get through that front line, right? The front line, not to mention the peels available with a Ruby or even a Fredrin, right? So this is going to be a Lord, most likely going to the hands of RQ once again, unless Burmese Ghouls can do something about it. But even Saksa just trying to get some of this vision.
Yeah.
Blink waiting patiently as well. Still,
Jangan sampai kecolong, Irat. Gua percaya banget siapa retri Irat ya guys ya.
Stitch positioning here is going to be crucial as they
Oh,
approach
Dlar
this, but
though?
right now,
Oh, Dlarnya hampir mati, anjing.
taking a ton of damage. He's kind of out of the picture, so now the numbers in the advantage for RQ.
Dan kita lihat terzoning sampai tidak bisa maju. Gila guys. Penguasaan mapnya pun sangat-sangat rapi ya guys ya. Gue berharap besok ketika RRQ ngelawan AP Brand pun juga bisa begini ya guys ya. Besok RRQ juga bakal berhadapan dengan timnya Pak AP ya guys ya.
RQ Hoshi knows that. They have all the
Bakal jadi match yang berat sih ini.
10.000 dari Gep, pesan Om Putin masih saudara deket kah bang?
Nggak terlalu deket banget sih. Agak ngeri soalnya dikit-dikit di nuklir, Cok.
And you see how Skylar was chunking it out real fast too. So at this point, everybody has everything that they got to the point that Iran's already
Ya,
done.
Iran
And
mati
all
dong.
the damage gets tugged in though.
Wow.
Oh masih ada immortal, cover langsung di cover sama
10.000
Brusco anjir.
dari Agus Bebek, pesan
Wah, udah ada
BCT
Roto sama Skylar ya guys ya.
Still going. Lord's still going to be up here. They want all the kills before they end the game. It's a triple for Skylar, and they take the series in a sweep, sending Burmese Ghouls out of the tournament.
10.000 dari Samwan, pesan Okta biji mata kaki aja Ken.
Nice banget ya. Let's go, kita upload dulu ya guys ya. Terlalu rapi guys ya. Besok gak bisa nonton channel Inggris lah anjing, patah-patah banget, tai, gak jelas.
Two bursts coming out from the
Anarchy.
they had to deal with the blazing duet, and mind you,
10.000 dari Samwan, pesan Okta biji handuk bang pas announcement di Windah handukan soalnya.
Without the items, it was really hard for the side of Burmese Ghouls to bounce back.
I mean, even taking a look at the
Terlalu
highlights,
gila.
like you said, Kim, there was some
Dan
moments once again from
terlalu
Burmese Ghouls that looked
gokil.
pretty good, but
RRQ
every single time, I mean, as we jump into these
memulangkan
highlights, like we're already minutes into
Myanmar.
RQ, Hoshi just had an answer for so much of this game, and really, again, this is really pointing out why Nana's so strong in this current meta. I mean, it was impossible for anybody to get to Octa.
10.000 dari Donai, pesan lu mirip artis Thailand Ken namanya Titit Pel.
Babi siapa itu anjing?
Get some space to work with, but even with that case, like there was no opportunity for Burmese to punish because the lineup that they had to work against, you know, and great setups here. A lot of the times, Brusco doing what he has to do on this Minotaur pick.
Yeah, I mean, he was the one that's soaking up all the damage. I mean, he's the first one taken out. Like, if some people would argue, actually, what is Brusco doing there? He's actually the one making Burmese schools actually.
Terlalu gila sih, terlalu rapi ya guys ya.
Not him, it's actually Irad. To the point that I actually thought that Irad was the
Anjing, tapi ngeri juga ya. Besok berarti RRQ lawan AP Brand. Gak boleh kalah, tai. Kalah langsung pulang anjing.
And you see that, like, you see
kayak jadi
the
tegang
Dlar
gitu
actually
gue
tried
cok
to go
mikirnya.
for Octa, right? But he had to deal with the passive too of the Nana. Like, oh wait, no, I can't take it
Aduh,
down
ini
yet. It
kenapa
still
lemot
has that
anjing
passive.
komputer
And
gue
it's
cok,
really what makes it
bangsat,
difficult
bangsat.
here for Burmese schools too. The damage dealers of RRQ Hoshi were so hard to catch. Like Skylar,
Kok lemot sih
you can
komputer
just
gue anjing.
BMI out. Octa here has that passive, plus the tanky front line here for RRQ Hoshi. That was also a big factor here why Burmese schools couldn't really answer it out here up against the side of RRQ Hoshi once it reached the late game.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, again, looking at the lineup.
Sumpah RRQ gak boleh cincar juara 3 guys. Besok sih harus menang sih lawan AP Brand anjing.
Getting them to game 3, but at one point in the game, you know, it just got.
Oke guys,
for them that it was.
gua off dulu. Sampai berjumpa lagi nanti malam di live push rank-nya ya guys ya. Thank you sudah nonton. I love you everybody. Nanti kita live lagi mungkin sekitar jam 10 atau jam 11 ya. Thank you sudah nonton. I love you everybody. Bye.